Hi, yeah, so I've come back to this today, the glorious Moog 1. Still got it, still love it. They've recently brought out a new firmware update, which has some tuning fixes and modular integration if you've got a modular setup. And also some great sounds from Lisa Belladonna, which I really recommend getting. They're great. And talking of presets, some of you have been really dogging me to bring out my own sounds, which I finally got around to doing. So you can buy them at my website. The link is below if you want to get them. You're going to hear them throughout this video. And I'm just going to show you a few of my thoughts of programming the thing that I've had recently. All right, let's get cracking. So one of the complaints that's been quite rightly, I think, leveled at the Moog 1 is that the oscillators sound a bit weedy compared to some other synths. For instance, the Prophet. You know, that Prophet's quite rock and roll. You just put an oscillator on, switch the gain all the way up, and it already sounds big and fat. The Moog is not like that. So if I initialize a patch, you can hear it's not the biggest sound in the world. A good little workaround I've found is using the two filters in series. So for instance, instead of just having the ladder like I've got here, I also put it through the state variable filter. But I have the mix 100% on the ladder, so you're only hearing the result of the ladder. But then you can affect it on the way through with the other filter, and it just adds a bit of weight and you can control it. Straight away you got a fatter sound, and you can almost use it like an EQ to dial in the frequency you want. So it's quite good for bass sounds. You can get closer to that kind of mini Moog sort of sound. And then obviously use the key tracking on the filter to get the slope you want. You still can't get the kind of bass sounds you can get on a mini Moog on this. It's just not its forte, and that's fine. Not all synths can do everything, but that is a good little workaround and useful in a lot of different applications. You can do a lot of stuff with it because, you know, you can automate that filter as well. Even though it's not being heard directly, it's affecting the other filter, and you can create phasey sounds and all manner of different stuff. I must admit, I feel a bit frustrated with the new firmware that they still haven't made the effects section usable as a modulation destination, because, you know, that would be just so great and must be quite easy to do, I would imagine. It's all digital control, I guess. You know, to be able to bring in the reverbs with the expression pedal or in and out with LFOs or whatever, you know, it would be really, really cool addition. And if you're listening, Moog, I hope you're going to do that at some point in the future. Having said that, I have found a really cool little workaround whereby I will use the same sound copied onto the next synth and then get rid of the direct sound. The way they've got the effects on the Moog 1 is, I guess they're parallel to keep it out of the analog signal, if you know what I mean. So it's a bit frustrating in a way, because when you turn down the VCA level, you still get the effects. But that can be used to your advantage. I'll show you, I've got this piano patch here. So what's going on there is I've just got the first synth is just this piano patch. And on the second synth, I've copied the sound, put a ton of really long reverb on it. I've got to say that the long reverbs and stuff are great on the Moog 1. You know, people do complain about the effects, and I can understand why, because it's quite fiddly to get it to work properly with the sound. But once you get there, actually, you can get some really very good sounding effects on it. In this case, I've got this very long reverb. I've put some other modulations in there as well. And I think on synth 1, LFO2 starts affecting the cutoff of the filter. But it's cool because I've turned the VCO down to 0. What I did was I also turned the oscillator volumes down to 0. And then I automated them with the expression pedal to go up. So when I lift the expression pedal up, which you can't see, I'm doing it in my foot, it will bring in the affected part of the sound. The cool thing about that is you can alter the patch slightly, you know, detune it or put it up an octave or whatever you want, and create this, you know, really interesting space that comes in. I've also programmed it with Aftertouch, which is great because you can just get this very subtle. One other thing I've been enjoying using is, again, copying a sound onto another synth and then delaying when it comes in. So for instance, I've got this swell sound here. And if I now copy that onto synth 3, it's on synth 2, I'll pan them left and right so you can hear a bit better what's going on. And then what I do is I go into the envelopes, and the first thing you can see there is delay time. So let me delay it by like a second or so, second and a half. And I'll do the same with the filter. Then you get this great delay, and it just can create all manner of interesting sounds. Again, obviously you can just do subtle little changes on different synths or put them up an octave, whatever. That's something I've always enjoyed doing on the Jupiter 8. One of the great functions of it for me is the fact that it's got this dual mode, and you can just slightly change the sound and you get this stereo thing going on where it's kind of shimmering around because it's slightly different. So that's another beautiful thing about the Moog. I use the expression pedal all the time. It's just so great. You know, you can add so many modulations and it can really bring sounds alive. So I heartily recommend, if you're using the Moog 1, get into that expression pedal. It just brings so much more to the synth. You find when you first get the Moog, you just use it in unison mode all the time because it just sounds so impressive. You switch it on, do the keyboard spread, do the synth spread, and it's just like, wow, massive sound. But I found myself using it less as I've gone on because it can be a bit too much. It can sound amazing, especially on a single oscillator, but sometimes it's great just in normal mode, you know, and you can get so many different textures out of this thing. I'm still in love with it. It's great. It's flawed. It's not perfect at all, but I would never part with it. Okay, so I'm going to show you my custom preset pack now, some of the sounds, and if you want to buy it, go and check it out at my website.